Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh!
Not that one, Fire Pup.
Oops, I'm sorry. We're doing the fire thing, aren't we?
Yeah, fire safety education.
Oh, okay. I got this. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. How many of you ever talked with a firefighter? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's quite a few of you. Today, all of you get a chance to meet some of Paulding County's finest. We're going to go visit some of our own hometown heroes at a couple of our fire stations. How does that sound? First up, let me introduce firefighter Matt over at Station 3. Hey Matt, how are you doing today?
Hey Fire Pup, yeah, I'm doing great. Hope you guys are doing good too, kids. Like Fire Pup said, I'm firefighter Matt, and today we're going to talk about some fire safety things. A lot of people ask us as firefighters about what we do, and there's lots of questions people have. But what's really fun is when we get to talk to people about that, we get to help them understand what we do. Because a lot of people think all we do is fight fires, and really nowadays that's not all we do. A lot more of what we do is help people who are hurt or are sick. So when we do that, we fight some fires, we help people who are hurt or sick in car crashes, but what's also interesting is when we talk to people at schools in particular, a lot of kids don't know who is what by their uniform and what their job is, what they do. So when we do that, we talk to them about how to tell the difference by looking at us. So I want everybody to look at me. Do I have a gun on my belt anywhere? Nope, I don't see a gun. So most police officers, they'll wear a gun on their belt when they're in their uniform. But I'm not wearing a gun, so you know I'm not a police officer. Now, if I was pushing a stretcher into the school, you might be able to tell I worked with an ambulance. But I don't have a stretcher with me, do I? So as a firefighter, we do a lot of things. And in our area, most of the firefighters wear a navy blue shirt and pants. Now, some police officers do too, but you can kind of tell that because they have a gun or not. Some ambulance people wear navy blue, but some don't. So everybody's uniform tells a story about them. Like mine even tells the story of my name. It tells you what I do. It even tells you that I get to help people who are hurt and sick. But our uniforms tell a lot of stories. But the big story is how we do our jobs. Our number one job is to keep you safe. And for us to be able to help keep you safe, you have to know some things. So, what I want you to do is I want you to think about if you had an emergency. What would you do if you had an emergency? What if you needed help? How do you get that help? Maybe you should pick up your phone or your mom's phone. What number would you dial if you needed help? Would you dial 911? That's the number you call if you have an emergency, and they're going to be able to help you. But you need to remember, you need to listen to their questions and answer them. But if you don't know the answer, don't make one up, because it's better to tell them, I don't know, than to make up an answer, because they might not send the right people, or you might not get the kind of help you need, or they might not be prepared for the help you need. So if you had an emergency, you would call 911. But what is an emergency? Well, if you were really, really hungry, is that an emergency? Maybe not. Maybe you shouldn't call 911 for that. Maybe call Mom or call Papa John's or the Chinese restaurant. What if you were in a fight with your brother and sister and y'all needed help? Should you call 911 to get the police to come take care of that fight? Probably not. Probably should call your parents or a guardian and say, hey, I need help dealing with this fight we have. So that's really not an emergency either. But what if you saw somebody's house on fire, or you saw somebody get injured, or a car crash? Those can be emergencies. Those are great reasons to call 911. But we never play with 911. That is not a toy to play with, because you only call it if there's an emergency. Because if you called it playing and they send people to help you, what if somebody else near you had an emergency? They have to wait even longer for help to come to take care of what they need taken care of. So we don't play with 911. It's not a toy, it's a tool. Just like with that tool, there are other tools we talk about, and there are some toys. We have to know what are what so we know what we can play with. Part of keeping people safe is about knowing what we can play with and what we can't. You see, we can play with our toys, right? But tools aren't there to play with. They're there to do a job. And I've got a collection of stuff over here I'm going to show you, and I want you as a class to decide, are they tools or are they toys? So I've got my pot here. Now, a pot, is that a tool or a toy? Some of y'all probably said it's a tool. Now, if you had a 1-year-old or 2-year-old brother or sister, they might have sat in the kitchen floor with a big spoon and maybe a pot upside down and played drums, and that's fine. But most of the time, we use pots as a tool. So we can cook our food, right? How many of y'all like macaroni and cheese? You know, if you like macaroni and cheese, you need a pot to make it in. So we use that tool to make that. But inside my pot, I've got some other stuff. So in my pot here, I have got a Hot Wheels car. Now, is that a tool or a toy? It's a toy, right? We play with that. Now, how many of y'all have ever seen one of these in your parents' kitchen? I kind of gave you a hint, maybe. Is this a tool or a toy? It's a tool, right? This is a pot holder, and it keeps us from burning our hands if we were reaching in the oven to get out a hot pan or to get a pot off the top of the stove. So we use it to do a job. Now, in my pot here, I've got something else. My Chick-fil-A cow. Is that a tool or a toy? It's a toy, right? We play with it. Now, this tool, if you're playing with it, you could make it a toy and use it as a blanket for your stuffed animal. But if we take it out of the kitchen, can we use it as a tool in the kitchen? No. So we need to leave it there. So it's a tool that we don't play with. Now, I've also got in here an important item. How many of y'all know what this is? It's hand sanitizer, right? Now, is that a tool or a toy? It's a tool, right? We use it when we can't get to the bathroom and wash our hands. Maybe there isn't one around, or there's a long line, or maybe the water's not working right now, or maybe you're out of soap. You can use this instead of using soap and water. But when you can use soap and water, you should. See, right now it's coming to the time of year when people get colds and flus, and we want to keep people from spreading that, so we clean our hands often. So this is a tool we use to help keep from spreading germs. Just like we cough into our elbow to keep from spreading germs, we clean our hands with our hand sanitizer. In my pot, I've got another item here. How many of y'all know what this is? It's matches, right? Is that a tool or a toy? It's a tool. We don't play with matches. Actually, Firefighter Matt wants you guys to remember this. If you find matches or a lighter sitting out in your house or on the ground, I don't want you even to go and pick them up, because it's such a safety issue. I want you to go get somebody older than you, maybe an older brother or sister, or your parents, or an aunt or an uncle or grandparents, whoever you can find, and ask them to help keep you safe by picking them up and putting them where they belong. Because laying out is not really where they belong. They should be put away. Okay? So that's a tool. In my pot, I have one last tool. Maybe some of y'all have seen these before. Do you have any of these in your house? Do you know what they are? So this is a smoke detector or a smoke alarm. Lots of different names for these. And you know what? I have a name I call it. I call it my 24-hour nose. So what's really neat about this tool, this is a tool and not a toy, is it's there to keep us safe. So this 24-hour nose is always smelling for smoke. But why does it need to smell for smoke? Well, if you're not at home, you can't be there to smell if a fire starts to smell the smoke. But what if you're in your bed at sleep at night? Really interesting. Our bodies are made that a lot of our senses go to sleep when we go to sleep. Now, our ears work. Like this morning when your parents came in to wake you up for school, they probably called out your name and said, "Hey, it's time to get up." Your ears stay awake. But just about all your other senses go to sleep when you go to bed at night, including your sense of smell. So this nose is constantly smelling for smoke. And you know, if it smells smoke, you know what it's going to do? It's going to talk to the one thing that's really working well, your ears, to wake you up. And it makes a lot of noise. How many of y'all have ever heard this make noise? You want to hear it? We're going to push the button and make a sound. If you hear it making a sound, that could mean that there's a fire in your house. And that means you need to get out of your house. But you know, if it doesn't have a battery in it that's good and working, it doesn't help you. Like you, we have to feed you so you can work and do your schoolwork and stuff. That's why you eat breakfast or lunch at school. You have to eat. This 24-hour nose also needs to eat. You have to feed it a new battery every so often. We tell most people to change it twice a year. Okay? But we got to make sure it's eating good so it can do its job. It can smell for smoke and tell us. If it were to tell you it smells smoke, what should you do? If you're in your house and it's, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you just got home from school, you're watching Doc McStuffin on the TV in the living room, or maybe Pokemon Go or SpongeBob, and you hear it go off, what should you do? You should leave your house. When we talk about being safe, we talk about planning for how to exit your house if there's a fire. So if your smoke detector goes off, you probably need to get outside. But when you go outside, you need to have some place to meet. And that's actually something I want you for homework to get with your family and decide as a family so everyone knows where to go. Your coloring book you're going to get from your class actually has a cool picture for that. And it shows that tell everyone to meet at a special place away from the house if there's a fire. Where is your meeting place? So as a family, you need to decide where you're going to meet if there's a fire at your house. But I've got rules for it. Rule number 1 is it can't be part of your house. So like your front porch doesn't work. Rule number 2, everyone needs to know where it is. And rule number 3, you have to be able to find it in the dark. Because you don't always have a house fire during the daytime. It might be 2 in the morning. And if you can't see it, it's hard to find it. So you need to decide as a family where you're going to go and meet. And once you get there, everybody stays there. Because when we roll up in our big fire truck, we're going to find where everybody's meeting and ask questions. Is everybody out of the house? If not, we're going to ask where you are. But if your family says, yes, we're all out, then we go fighting fire. But if not, we aren't worried about your house. I'm more worried about you if you're still inside. And so we're going in looking for you. Now, we need to talk about what you do if you were asleep in your bed. Because if you were asleep in your bed, you do things different than if you were watching Doc McStuffin in the living room. If you were doing that, you just get up and walk out. But if you're asleep in your bed, you have to do things differently. The first thing you need to make sure you do is you get down low, because if there's smoke in your house, the smoke goes up. If there's a fire, it's going to go up. And remember, our 24-hour nose was smelling for it, and those are usually up. So if it smelled it, it's going to start talking like it did a minute ago. So we're going to get up and get down to our floor as fast as we can if we hear it. And we want to crawl to our doorway. Now, if you sleep with your door closed, you need to feel the door and see if it's hot. And we feel with this part of our hand, not this part. Because if we burn this part, it makes it really hard to crawl if our door was hot. Because if our door is hot, that means there's fire on the other side of it. Now, if you sleep with your door open, don't stop and feel your door. There's no reason to. You need to crawl on out and get out of your house. but it's really important. You need to know 2 ways out of your house. So if your door is blocked, what's another way you could get out of your house? Maybe your bedroom window. Do you know how to open your bedroom window? Let's say you live on the 2nd floor. Do you want to jump out? Preferably not, but if you had to, you could. But if you couldn't jump out, I want you to do me a favor. Go open your window up, go to your bed and grab a blanket, a pillow, and maybe a stuffed animal and throw it out the window into the yard. When we get to your house, if there's a fire, somebody walks around your house before we go inside. And if I'm walking through your yard and I walk around and I look on the ground and I see a pillow and a blanket and a stuffed animal, I bet you don't keep your pillows and blankets and stuffed animals in your yard usually, do you? That's a clue. I have to play detective sometimes too. Remember, I don't carry a gun there like a police officer, but I got to be a detective. I got to figure things out. And so if I see that, we might go grab a ladder, and instead of going through the house, we just go up to your window and look inside. Now, after you threw that out of the window, here's what I want you to do. Don't go crawl and hide under your bed or in your closet. What I want you to do is I want you to sit down in front, underneath your window and just sit there and wait. Because if you got your window here and we climb up a ladder to it, we don't just jump in, because what if the floor is missing? We reach in and we feel. And if we reached in to feel for the floor, and you're sitting right there, my hand goes down, I'm going to feel you, and just pick you up and carry you out of the window and back down the ladder, and you're out already. But if you go and hide under your bed or in a closet, it takes us longer to find you. And we don't want to take longer. We want to do this fast. Now, hopefully, when your smoke detector goes off, it's just because the battery's bad and you just need to replace it. But if it's not, then you need to be getting out of your house. So guys, now that we've talked about some safety stuff while we're out here, let's move inside to the kitchen and let's talk about some safety things that are just specific to the kitchen. Because the kitchen can actually be a dangerous room inside your house. Hey kids, so we've moved to our kitchen at the fire station. Because I told you, this is actually a dangerous room in your house. There's lots of things in the kitchen that can cause you problems. But it's also a very important room because it's where we eat. We just have to remember to be safe while we're in here. So let's talk about some of those things that can be dangerous for us. So the stove right here can cause us some issues. You could have hot pots on top of the stove. They could have hot liquids in them that could burn you. In particular, if it were to fall off of the stove. It's like, you're walking through the kitchen, playing tag, and you hit the pot. Whatever's on there might fall out onto you. Now, if it's water, it's going to burn you, but it will run off. But if it was grease or oil, it actually will stick to you and can continue to burn you. And if you got something on you that's burning you or you burned your hand, you should go turn cold water on and let it run on you for several minutes until the burning sensation stops. So to protect against that, we always make sure we turn our pot handles in towards the back of the stove. Another place that could have a problem with being dangerous is the oven itself. It gets really hot. How many of you guys like fresh cinnamon rolls or biscuits? I do. But we bake those at 400 degrees a lot of times. So that gets really hot inside the oven. So if you were to open up the oven and just reach in and grab your pan with the bare hand, it could burn your hand. Remember we talked about the pot holder? We would use that to reach in and pull our pan out. But as first graders, should y'all really be reaching in the oven to pull pans of food out? Probably not. Really, you should get a parent or guardian to do that for you. But make sure they're using a pot holder so they don't burn their hands. Okay? Now, in our kitchen, we have knives. A lot of kitchens have knives in them. Knives can be dangerous if you don't know how to use them. And for you guys, really, I'd rather you not use a knife. I'd rather you have a parent or guardian use a knife to cut stuff up for you. Maybe you wanted an apple or you wanted bread buttered. Maybe buttering bread with a butter knife might be safe. Kind of like our butter knives we have in here. It's not really sharp, but you could still hurt yourself with it. If mom and dad let you butter your bread, go for it. but maybe you shouldn't use a big knife. That might be dangerous. The last thing I wanted us to talk about in the kitchen is water safety. See, we talk about hot pots and pans could burn us, but did you know the water in the sink can also burn you? So somewhere in your house you have a water heater, and there's a way to set the temperature on those. And a lot of people are telling you to set your water temperature on your water heater around 120 degrees, and there's a reason for that. See, hot water can scald you, and those water heaters usually go up to 150 degrees. A lot of wild numbers, but here's the thing. At 150 degrees of water temperature, it can scald you in 1 second. 120, it takes 30 seconds. So that little difference can be a big safety factor to keep you safe. That's something to make sure your parents know about. But another thing that you need to know about is when you come to your sink to use the water, it's really important that you always turn the cold water on first and then turn the hot water on second. You'll never get burned if you do that because the cold water will always cool down the hot water. Now, how do you know which side's which? Usually they have a C and an H on the knobs if you have knobs, but mine doesn't have a knob. How many of you guys are left-handed? Raise your hand. I'm left-handed, but most people in the world are right-handed, and they reach out with their right hand first. It's just a natural thing. So cold water is always on the right side of the sink. So if you had two knobs, this side's always going to be your cold water. So you should reach out and grab with that natural hand first, turn the cold on, and then turn your hot on. When you have a knob like this, when it's just one, the cold's still going to be on the right side. So you should start it on the cold side, turn it on, and then move it towards the hot. That will keep you from getting burned by the hot water. But remember, if the water is only 120 degrees at your water heater, it can take 30 seconds before even all the way on hot would scald you. So that's why it's important to make sure our water heaters are set at a good, safe level. Kids, thanks for coming and joining me at my fire station. I hope you learned some stuff, and I hope you had a good time too. Now, we're going to go back over and see Fire Pup and talk to him for a minute. But thanks for coming to my fire station. I can't wait to see you guys in person.
Yay! Let's hear it for Firefighter Matt. Next up, we're going to go and meet Firefighter Joe. Firefighter Joe is going to take us on a tour of his fire station. Take it away, Joe.
Good morning, kiddos. This is Firefighter Joe Postel with Paulding County Fire and Rescue. We are here this morning at Paulding County Fire Station 7. We're going to give you a tour today to show you how firefighters operate on their 24-hour shift. As some of you may know, we are here all day and all night for 24 hours. That means we come here, we eat, sleep, run calls, train, study, we do everything. So I want to give you guys a nice little tour of the station and show you how we live on our 24 hours. You guys ready? Let's go do it. So as you can see, this is a beautiful station. This is one of our newer stations. We have 3 trucks at this station. We have a rescue that runs medical calls and car accidents. We have an engine that runs off fires, and we have a tanker also that runs structure fires and forest fires. So we have 3 apparatus here. This is our bay. This is what contains all of the trucks. We keep it nice, clean, and organized because we have to know where everything is at all times. So let's have a look. We have our apparatus. We have some tools. We have a washer and dryer. We clean our gear. We clean our uniforms and everything here because we don't like to take germs home to our families. So we clean it here and just leave everything fire related here at the station. Let's check out the inside. As we enter this station, this right here is the office. As firefighters, we have a lot of training that we have to do. We have a lot of online training and we have a lot of in-person training. But right here, every call we go on, if it's a fire or if it's a med call, we have to create a public document and record everything that happened on that call. So this is where this happens, and we need to do it after every single call, whether it's a fire, car accident, or just a medical call. Now, like I said, with the fire department, we sleep here too. If it's after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a firefighter's business time schedule is 9 to 5, or 8 to 5. When it's after 5 o'clock, we're allowed to do other things here at the station too, which includes we sleep here. Now we have this loud box in here where alarms go off when it's our station that has to respond to a call. We have 2 minutes to be in that apparatus and on our way to that call. That means being dressed, whether it's in our uniform or whether it's in our fire gear. We have 2 minutes to get dressed in that vehicle and leaving. So as you guys see, this station, we have divided off different little bunk areas. Now, at this time, Station 7 is a 2-man station. That's going to be changing here soon. And we have a little workout room also. Now, firefighters exercise a lot. A lot of times we'll exercise in our gear outside just to train for fire scenarios. Now, down this hallway, now we have all kinds of closet that houses all of our medical supplies that we keep locked up and everything too for medical calls. Because if you guys didn't know this, firefighters actually run a lot of medical calls. We are the jack of all trades. We even help grandparents. If your grandparents fall, we come out and help them up and see if they need medical attention, or if you fall, or if your parents fall. We come right out just to pick you up to make sure you're okay. This is our kitchen. Firefighters, we eat our breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. Some of us are cooks, some of us are not, but we all eat here and we eat together during our shift. It's like our own family away from our family. This is home away from home. Now this is one of our favorite rooms. This is where we get to relax. If it's after hours and we have some downtime, we actually like to come in here, we can watch TV and we get to relax. And that's most of the time after 5 or 6 o'clock during the week. We can come in here and just watch TV until we get a call. So this is one of our favorite areas. And that pretty much, guys, we'll walk back through here. And as you can see, this is a really nice station. We clean this every morning and every afternoon. We always leave it clean for the incoming firefighters, and we clean it for ourselves in the morning. Now, as you can see, this station, there's our fire safety education engine, and here's like our backyard. As you can see, this is a really nice place to be for our 24 hours. All right, guys, I know that you've already seen the fire safety education part, and I do not know if you remember the really important drill that we teach you guys, okay? So we're gonna cover it. I think you know what I'm about to talk about, and it's the stop, drop, cover, and roll. Now you know they added that spot, cover, into the stop, drop, and roll, and it's very important that you do it. Let's say if you're too close to a campfire, or you're too close to a stove, and some of your clothing catches on fire, the worst thing you can do is run. You never run. If it is on your clothing, you are gonna stop. The reason we stop is because when you're moving, the air feeds the fire and makes it grow. So what we want you to do is stop, immediately. Then we want you to drop. Then we want you to cover your face, hit the ground, and roll. You're gonna roll back and forth until the fire is out. And someone's gonna be calling for help, and you can call for help because you're covered right now, rolling on the ground, so you don't have to worry about the smoke and fire getting to your face. All right? It's very important you guys remember that. Well, I'm glad you guys gave me your undivided attention. Hopefully next year we're going to be able to come back to the schools, see you in person. And you know what? Like this station here too, when we're not in this kind of lockdown, you guys are more than welcome to come visit us. And we'll give you a tour throughout the station. We'll let you tour our trucks because we are a public building. So whenever we can get back to that normalcy, we welcome you to our stations. And you guys be safe and have a good day, okay?
Thank you, Firefighter Joe. Isn't that cool, kids? How many of you want to go stay at the fire station sometime? Wouldn't that be fun? Kind of like a slumber party until the alarm goes off. Now we have one more stop. Have you ever seen a fire truck up close? Help me welcome another Firefighter Joe as he shows off one of the fire trucks he gets to work with every day.
Good afternoon. I'm Paulding County firefighter and FAO Joe Sarber, and this is your 2017 E1 Cyclone. She weighs in at 30 tons, 40 feet long, and has the capability of going 105 feet in the air. What do you say we go take a look at some of these compartments and see what the tools we use every day to help save people? As an FAO, it is my responsibility to get the crew safely to the scene of any incident. This is where I drive the truck. This is where we control all the features of this truck. Up here, this is a control panel. This is where we control the ladder platform. Down here is all the emergency power switches. This computer panel right here is where we control all the lighting features of the truck as well as the generator and the safety scene lights. Behind these doors is the engineer's compartment. This is where we keep all the attachments to make the hose sections work, as well as the tools we need to tap into a fire hydrant. We've got these little hoses right here called squirrel tails. This provides us our primary water source from the fire hydrant to the fire truck if we need water supply. This truck has 500-gallon water capacity and will last us roughly 30 to 45 seconds with a stick in the air. This is a pump panel. This is where we control all the water that comes out of the truck, whether it be the pre-connect hand lines that actually go inside the working structure fire, or the water that goes up to the 105-foot stick. This is where it's all controlled, right here in this panel. As the driver of the truck, this is where I keep my gear, as well as some other tools that we may need on the scene of the fire. Keep my gear here. This is my SCBA. If we need to go into an IDLH environment where the air is bad, I can put this on my back, and this is what provides me the clean breathing air I need to go inside of a structure fire. In the hot summer heat, when we're fighting fire, we like to come out and rehab. This fan right here gives us this nice cold mist of air that helps cool us down after we come out of the structure fire. This compartment here is where we keep our high-rise pack in case we need to go into a tall structure. We keep a stair chair in case we need to bring patients down some stairs, water rescue equipment should we need to go in the water after somebody, and some high lift jacks that we can use on the scene of a motor vehicle accident to help stabilize the vehicle. The rear of the truck, compartment number 4, is where we keep all the saws that we may need to ventilate a roof inside of a structure. We ventilate the roof to help get the smoke out of the building, makes it easier for the firefighters to see inside. This tool right here is what we call a portable hydrant. We have the ability to move a fire hydrant how many ever feet we need closer to the scene with just this tool right here itself. Because this is a ladder truck, we carry a bunch of ground ladders on the back of the truck that we may need inside of a fire or outside of a fire. Back here in the belly of the truck is where we keep those ladders. Also in the back of the truck is where we control the actual ladder itself. This panel right here is a master panel, and this right here is what we can control the jacks. But the most important part of the truck is this water supply. This is what we hook to the fire hydrant and then to the truck in order to give us water. We have approximately 800 feet of 6-inch hose. The passenger side of the truck is where we keep all the equipment we need for motor vehicle accidents. And this rear compartment here is where we keep what we call cribbing. We use cribbing to help stabilize the vehicle in order for us to get the passengers or occupants of the vehicle out. This next compartment here is where we keep the airbags. We use airbags and it gives us the capability to lift the vehicle off the ground. This right here is a typical SCBA cylinder that we use for breathing air when we go inside of a structure fire. These SCBA bottles can also be used to help control the air that we put inside these airbags. We've got 3 airbags, the controllers, and plates that protect the airbags from being punctured on the car or the ground. Everybody's heard of the Jaws of Life. On Truck 11, this is where we keep those tools. The Hearst Jaws of Life are the tools we need to get people that are trapped inside of a vehicle that have been involved in a motor vehicle accident out of the car. As firefighters, we obviously have to go inside burning structure fires. With that being said, we have a special set of gear we wear. That gear weighs 75 pounds. Let's take a quick second and take a look at this gear and what involves putting it on. You know the state requires us to put that gear on in 2 minutes? Let's have fun a second. How long do you think it'll take FAO Wardlaw to put his gear on? Get with your classmates, come out with a time. Whoever has the closest time, they win. Awesome. Did you get with your classmates? Did you figure out a time on how long you think it's going to take FAO Wardlaw to get dressed? Let's count them down all together on 3, 2, 1, go. Who had the closest time? Congratulations, you're the winner. Let's take a look at some of the equipment we wear and what makes it special. This right here is our bottoms. This contains our bunker pants as well as our boots. You notice that our boots are inside of our pants? That makes it so we can get dressed faster. We don't have to worry about tying shoes. After we put on our pants, we put on our protective hood. This hood protects our ears, our throat, and our face from being burned inside of a fire. It's made out of Nomex. After we put on our boots and our hood, next comes our coat. Our coat has 2 layers in it. These 2 layers is what keeps us from being burned. The inner layer protects us from the heat, but the air between the outer layer and the inner layer is what provides the barrier for us from getting burned. The outer layer helps prevent us from getting cut on sharp objects. After the coat, we put on the most important piece of equipment. This is our SCBA. This SCBA right here contains the air we need to breathe inside of a fire. Also contains something we call a pass device. This pass device, should we lay motionless for 30 seconds, will create a really awful sound. And this tells my brothers and sisters in the fire department that I'm in trouble and I need help. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like. That's it turning on. Notice the green lights. If I lay motionless for 30 seconds, this is the sound it makes. This here is the regulator. This regulator is what gives me that clean air from the bottle into my face mask. Let's take a look at the mask now. Here's the mask. The SCBA regulator mounts here into the mask. This goes on my face, and this little nose piece right here, this is what gives me the clean air. This also helps protect my eyes from the smoke, as well as my face from the heat. Then comes my helmet. My helmet protects me from objects falling from the ceiling. When we go inside of a house, we try to pull the ceiling down so we can expose a fire. This helps prevent that drywall from falling down on my head and hurting me. Not only does the helmet provide protection for our head, but it also helps identify everybody on the fire scene what our rank is. Every rank has a different color, what we call passport. Us drivers, we have yellow. Last but not least, our gloves. It's kind of obvious. They help protect our hands and from sharp objects as well as hot objects. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to stop by Station 11 and visit Truck 11. Now it's time to go to work.
Thanks for coming by to check us out. Remember, we want you to be safe at all times, and especially at home. We'll see you next time, kids.